Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back. It's 9 minutes with Mike Lindsley here on IGTV, YouTube, and of course, Facebook as we get set. Man, NFL is not that far away. We're about a month and change from the start of the season. Training camps are obviously open. They've been in business for a few days here, and the storylines are galore across the National Football League. I'm here to tell you that I think the New York Football Giants are a team to watch in 2018. It starts obviously with the play of Eli Manning. Can he manage to, have a better year than he did in 2017? A lot of what happened last season didn't really have to do with Eli Manning. Remember, man, I think quarterbacks in our world today, they get too much credit when they win and too much blame when they lose. We start with Eli Manning, and our video, by the way, is brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College and Welch and Company Jewelers. More on Bryant and Stratton College at the end of the video in terms of their open house coming up on Wednesday. But look, he didn't have a lot of support. The offensive line was Swiss cheese. They didn't have a running game. Odell Beckham Jr. went out. Another potpourri of injuries went to the wide receiver core, and now the New York Giants had a great offseason. I mean, you talk about getting Nick Solder and adding him into the front line there in front of Eli Manning for protection. You talk about Eli, who's probably got a couple of solid years still left. I think the tight end, Evan Ingram, is going to have a big year this year. He's only been in the league a couple years out of Mississippi. Here's a guy who can go over the middle. He can extend the chains. He can extend drives, etc. You pick up Saquon Barkley, a dynamic, unbelievable running back who can not just run the football, but can catch it out of the backfield. And then, of course, we have the ever so interesting wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. He comes back, of course. He was injured last year with a pretty bad Achilles. And now Odell is back, and Odell is healthy. This is a team that I think could win the NFC East. I think the Eagles will be obviously still the team to beat coming off of their Super Bowl championship. But there's no reason why the New York Giants can't contend for this division if the supporting cast comes back healthy, and in conjunction with that, Eli Manning, of course, does his part. Now, if the supporting cast does everything they can, Barkley has a big year, but Eli is the one who's costing his team games, there's going to be major problems in New York, and you're going to start hearing whispers of Kyle Lauletta, who I thought was a tremendous pickup late in the NFL draft for the New York Giants as well. They didn't have to trade up. They didn't have to spend a ton of money to get a Darnold, to get an Allen, to get a Rosen, to get a Mayfield, to get a Lamar Jackson. They go out and they get instead a big-time quarterback at a smaller school. 6'3", 225, awesome size, great arm strength. And you know what? We've seen it before in the NFL. We've seen it in years past. I'm not saying that it's going to happen again with Kyle Lauletta, because history has proved, the Carson Wentz's and the Big Bens and some of these other quarterbacks from smaller schools have not only succeeded, but they've had Hall of Fame careers. But I like this pick. It's a very low-risk pick. You get him late, and you let him groom under Eli Manning in a first-class organization. So I think the New York Giants are going to be a very, very difficult team. You look at Ingram at tight end. You pick up the punter and Riley Dixon. Eli Manning's got a supporting cast now, which I think will help him immensely. Odell Beckham Jr., if he returns with his explosiveness and he, shuts his mouth, we know that he's one of the best players in the National Football League. I think when you look at the defensive side of the ball, this is a team that is improving. So many times we saw last year on third down, the Giants just could not get off the field. And boy, when it rains in sports, it pours in sports. Not only were the New York Giants injured, not only did they have the beleaguered offensive line, not only because of those reasons was Eli Manning shitting the bed as well, but on the other side of it, the defense couldn't get out of its own way when it got into third down and long situations. They just could not get off the field. And I think this year you're looking at an improved defense. You're looking at a scheming defense. I think they're going to blitz a lot more up front, and I think that will allow them to get turnovers in the defensive backfield as well. But we know that this team is all about offense. We know that it's all about Odell Beckham Jr. and the draft pick of Saquon Barkley. The anti-Saquon Barkley people are simply saying, look, you didn't have to pick a running back that high. You can always get running backs later in the draft and all the rest. I don't know what's going to happen with Saquon Barkley. He could end up going to the Hall of Fame, or he could end up shitting the bed and being out of the league in 3 years. He could have a catastrophic injury. We just don't know. It's a total crapshoot. All drafts are total crapshoots. But I will tell you this. For the people who are anti-Saquon Barkley, I tell you this. You may say that you can get a running back later on in the NFL draft. That's fine. But you can't get this running back late in the NFL draft. You can't get a dynamic Big Ten running back who is lethal out of the backfield running it and catching it. And then when you look at the other situation, you got to support Eli Manning. You're going with Eli Manning for another year or two. You got to have some kind of a ground game in the back. And also, when Eli gets in trouble, he's got a little bailout option for screenplays to Saquon as well. But you can't get that type of running back late in the draft. He's a special dynamic guy. It'd be like saying, well, Leonard Fournette, you could get him in, you could get one of those guys in the third, fourth. Well, you can get running backs later in the draft, but as far as what your specific need is, what your goals are, and really the type of player, Saquon Barkley is super dynamic. There is no running back in the NFL who is quite like Saquon Barkley right now, at least coming out of college. You talk about a guy who can catch it, he can run it. He's out of the Big Ten. He played at Penn State. The big crowds won't be any problem for him. He's played in front of 80 to 100,000 people his entire Penn State career. So I like the pick. I really did. I'm not changing on that. And again, to me, this all comes down to health for the New York Football Giants. They can stay healthy, and that supporting cast can do its thing in terms of, extending a couple more years here for Eli Manning. And then, of course, he doesn't screw it up on the back end. I think the New York Giants could very well be a playoff team in 2018. We know that that's going to be a challenge in the NFC East. The Cowboys are going to be right there in rivalry games. The Giants should be significantly better than the Redskins. If you're a Giant fan, you're hoping that you get 2 wins against the Skins. But, again, rivalry games, you just don't know. And then, of course, you got to deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. These are home and aways. These are tough atmospheres. These are teams that know you like the back of their hand. The NFC East is not the toughest division of football. It's not like the NFC West. It's not as deep as some other divisions, but it's pretty darn good. You've got the defending champions in there in the Eagles. You've got the improved New York Football Giants. You have the Dallas Cowboys with a plethora of great players, and you've got Zeke Elliott and, of course, Dak Prescott. And then, obviously, with the Washington Redskins, I think from A to Z, I think this is going to be an improved team. Now, does that mean they're going to go 11-5? Absolutely not. But they could go 5-11 or 6-10 and be an awfully tough out and be in every game late, which I expect absolutely in a bunch of their games this year on the schedule, and in addition to the games in the NFC East, because after all, rivalry games between all four of those teams. So I like the New York Football Giants. I like what they did in the offseason. I like what they have coming in from the draft. I love the fact that they got Barkley. They look dynamic. They added some line help. The defense should be better. They should swarm and scheme more. Terrific stuff here for the New York Football Giants, and I think this is a playoff team potentially in 2018. Well, there you go, 9 minutes with Mike Lindsley. It's all brought to you by our friends at Timberbanks Golf Club, the Phoenix Sports Restaurant, Rosie's Corner, and Bryant and Stratton College. Now, right now, folks, it's a great time to be a Bobcat. Academics, athletics, and excellence. Bryant and Stratton College, they've got an open house coming up 2 days from now, as we record this on August 1st. It's going to be at the North Campus and the Syracuse campus in the city on James Street. If you're in and around Central New York, if you're from just outside Central New York, make the drive in. It's going to be from 4 to 7 on August 1st. And this is your first glimpse here, if you haven't seen it, to see what the Bobcat feeling is all about. There's euphoria around Bryant and Stratton College. Come in, talk to administrators, talk to coaches, talk to the athletic director, find out why it's a great time to be a Bobcat. Bryant and Stratton College open house, North Campus in the city of Syracuse on James Street, 4 to 7 p.m. on August 1st. Make sure you get there and see what the Bobcat experience is all about. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. Thanks for watching 9 Minutes with Mike Lindsley. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.